Welcome back to My Hot Kitchen. I'm Wendy, and I've worked up a delicious menu for you to share with your sweetie on your next date night at home. Tonight's menu features baked ziti featuring smoked salmon in a creamy tomato sauce, green beans on the side, a fresh, crisp, homemade Caesar salad, and for dessert, classic tiramisu. So let's get started on that tiramisu first. I'm gonna go to my fridge here and pull out my mixing bowl and my whisks, and I pre-chilled them so that I have the best chance to whip up my whipping cream to a very stiff consistency. I'm also going to need to grab the heavy whipping cream out of the fridge. I have 3/4 of a cup of heavy whipping cream here. So now I'm going to add the heavy whipping cream into my little mixing bowl here, scraping the sides to make sure I get all the good stuff in my mixing bowl. Love working with heavy cream. It's so rich and decadent, and it's such a fun texture when it's all whipped up. To that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of powdered sugar and a couple little drops of almond extract to enhance the flavor. Now I'm going to start whipping it. Again, on a low speed until I've incorporated all that powdered sugar so that I don't have a powdered sugar explosion. I'm going to crank this up to high and whip it for several minutes until it forms stiff peaks. See how that looks. Nice stiff peaks. Got a few things working in our favor here. Number one, heavy cream. Number two, the powdered sugar also helps to add thickness and body to the cream. And the cold bowl helps as well. Now I'm just going to set this off to the side for a moment and start working on the other parts of the tiramisu. So the other big part of the tiramisu is the lady fingers, which are dipped in espresso. So I'm working with 8 lady fingers. They're basically just a very delicate, lightweight vanilla cake. And I'm going to very quickly dunk each side in espresso. Or you can brew coffee that's 4 times as strong as you would normally brew it. That should get the job done. And just a quick little dunk on each side. Too much dunking and you'll result in a soggy tiramisu. I'm going to line up the lady fingers. I'm going to add a little layer of whipped cream here at this point. It's going to be kind of the bonding layer because I'm going to do one more stack of the tasty little ladyfinger cookies. Nice little smooth layer in there, just enough to make it all stick together. Patch up that little hole. Perfect. Now for the next layer of ladyfingers. Plop them right on top. Now if you can't find ladyfingers, think about other very light vanilla cookies that you could substitute. Maybe even something like a vanilla wafers. Go. Now it's time to build the rest of the tiramisu. So I'm going to take a good portion of this heavy cream and plop it right here on top. Spread it out a bit. Reserve a little bit more in the bowl. Think of this as a lot like icing a cake. And there's a tool that's really helpful for this process. 2 of them actually. Hot water and a nice flat metal spatula. Dip the metal spatula in the hot water and then use it to sort of smooth the whipped cream over the top. Squish it into the corners. And when you see that heavy cream starting to stick to the spatula, dunk it in the hot water again, clean it off, warm it back up. See what a nice smooth surface that makes. Beautiful. Kind of like polishing frosting. And some of it's going to start working down the sides. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want to have happen here. Now I'm going to get some more of the heavy cream that I've whipped up and kind of plop it on the sides here, using more of a patting motion than anything. Just want it to sort of stick on there so that I can work with it with my metal spatula. I'm going to do that to all the sides right now. This is going to kind of seal the deal. This is going to be really good. I like my tiramisu to be a very clean, classic flavor. Very simple. I like to taste the coffee. I like to taste the vanilla of the ladyfingers. And I like to taste the decadence of the whipped cream. Some recipes I've tried call for mascarpone cheese. That's delicious in here as well. I opted to just go with the heavy cream because I like the really clean, rich flavor it provides. Close up that corner right there. There we go. I like the presentation of a tiramisu to be nice and square. Nice clean edges, nice clean flavors. Let the simplicity shine through. Cover that little hole right there. Excellent dessert. Delicious with a nice cup of coffee and a way to finish up a good, rich pasta meal. Love it. All right, now that I have all the lady fingers sort of sealed in there, I'm going to go ahead and work a towel around the outside and clean up the heavy cream that's left sitting about. And this also allows you one more chance to inspect the tiramisu and see if you've got it all pretty and square like you like it. And give it just a little more love here. I know. I like it to be beautiful. Food tastes better when it looks pretty. We're gonna call that good right there. Now it's time to decorate it up and put on the last famous ingredient. Before I add the cocoa powder to the top, I'm gonna give a little love to the whipped cream. I'm gonna put an imprint of a heart in the top of it. And I'm gonna sprinkle that imprint with beautiful red sparkling sugar. Just over the imprint. I'm going to layer in some color here. And then I'm going to put the cookie cutter back over the red sugar. And I'm going to sprinkle the top very liberally with delicious cocoa powder. And I'm using a Dutch processed cocoa powder because I love the color and the flavor. You want a nice thick layer of this goodness on top. In your sweetie's mouth, it's all going to blend together and just taste chocolatey and amazing and delicious. Nice and thick. There we go. And then carefully pull that heart off to reveal the cute little red heart. And then it's ready to go back in the fridge. And this delicious little dessert can sit in here for 3 to 6 hours and it'll be ready when you guys are. Get cleaned up here. And now it's time to start working on the ziti. So the first element that we're gonna work on is the sauce. We're just gonna start by building a classic blonde roux. That's a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of flour into my pan that's on a medium temperature heat. And I'm just mixing together the butter and the flour so they can cook together and become a delicious thickening and flavor agent. I'm going to cook this for about 3 minutes just to allow enough time for the butter and flour to become completely one and for the flavor of the flour to just start to cook out. Well, that is the color that I want to see, a nice caramel color, a little bit of a toasty smell coming off of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a clove of garlic to it. Come on, garlic, get in there. I'm going to give the garlic a couple moments to incorporate with the roux. A little sizzle action in there. Wow, that smells really good. Love the smell of garlic and butter working together. Just a quick little flash here. Next comes an ounce of dry white wine. That's fun. See the thickening power of the roux working already. Next, about 3 ounces of tomato paste. Plop it all in there right now. Get it all worked in there. And once you've added the tomato paste, which is going to cool down the pan in, then you can add your cup of milk. You don't want to necessarily add the milk to a scalding hot pan. You just get burnt milk and sometimes a big mess. Now I'm going to break out my whisk and get this all worked in together here. Just want to whisk all that goodness together. While I'm whisking, I also want to add about a ½ teaspoon of salt and about a tablespoon of classic Italian seasoning. Get that all loved up in there. What a beautiful color this sauce is. The final ingredient is a ½ cup of stock. Because I'm using smoked salmon as a primary ingredient, I've chosen to use fish stock as my stock flavoring. Any type of stock will work for this recipe. Even water if you don't have any stock. Just need a ½ cup of whatever it is that you're adding in. Nice little whisk. And then this needs to come up to a boil and drop down to a simmer, where it's going to need to simmer for about 10 minutes. Oh, perfect. My pot of water has reached a boil. Means I'm ready to cook off my pasta. I have this lovely ziti pasta here. You'll note that ziti is the long round tubes with a flat cut, perfectly smooth surface. There's lots of similar pastas out there that'll work for this as well. But if you're going to make baked ziti, I say use ziti. Give it a little loving stir. And add a nice substantial amount of salt to the water. And a nice amount of olive oil just to help season it up and help to prevent the pasta from sticking. So the directions on my package said cook the pasta for 9 to 11 minutes. So I'm going to come back and check it at about 7 because I don't want to overcook the pasta in the first step. It's going to continue to cook in the oven with the ziti and the sauce and everything else. So I need to test one of these little zitis, see how we're doing here. Very hot. That's enough for me to know that the crunch is gone, but they're not overcooked. Perfect. Pour them off into a colander here. Rinse them off with a little cool water to stop them from cooking. Give them a little shakeout treatment. Want to get all that water out. And this can go over here. And it's time to start working on the filling for the pasta. So the first thing I'm going to do is crack this egg and give it a little beat. This is going to bind the ricotta and mozzarella cheeses together and make a lovely, delicious, decadent filling. To that I'm going to add about a ½ cup of delicious ricotta cheese and about a ½ cup of grated mozzarella cheese. You're going to need about a ½ cup of mozzarella cheese. I've got about a cup in my bowl here, so I'll grab about half of it. I'm just going to fold these lovely, lovely ingredients together. Make a nice sticky mess in my bowl here. I'm going to add a few capers to it. Got about a tablespoon's worth. Fold those in. And add a nice little brininess and saltiness to complement the smoked salmon with that. And then the cheese filling is done. And now I'm ready to clear off a little workspace and bring in my little mini casseroles. I've put them on a pan for stability and for ease in handling. I just need to find enough space here to put them on my counter. Perfect. Pull the lids off and then grab the sauce. Give another little whisk. And just a little taste. So perfect, rich and creamy and delicious. Add a very small amount to the bottom of the casseroles here, forming the very base layer of the baked ziti. just a little bit, just to coat the pasta. And then bring the pasta in. Now I've already tossed the ziti in a little olive oil so it's easier to handle. I'm just gonna pop it here into the casserole, straightening it as I go. Any baked ziti that I've had has a very orderly appearance. And that's why I'm taking a moment to straighten them up. I want to add one layer to the bottom of this little casserole. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit more sauce on top of that. Just a couple little drops. Yummy. Love it up. Spread it out over the top. Try to get it as even as possible. You are going to be adding quite a bit more sauce, so don't fuss too much about it. And then divide the cheese filling between the two casseroles, smoothing it out over the top so that it coats the entire surface. Doesn't that look good? Next, add your broken up smoked salmon. I really encourage you to choose a high quality smoked salmon for this. Go for something that's dry cured. And if you can find a nice wild caught salmon, that's going to be your best bet for the best flavor. Add a nice little layer of mozzarella cheese over that. Just going to all help it blend together. And some red onions, just a few slices across the top. Break it up over there. And then more pasta. Again, taking a little extra effort to ensure a nice, straight, even presentation on the pasta itself. Wow, this smells really good. You can smell the smoked salmon working with the sauce. It's amazing. You gotta try this. I'm gonna go ahead and work across this, try to fill in all the gaps. Then we're gonna need to add the rest of the sauce. I'm going to drizzle it in a zigzag motion across the top here to get the maximum coverage possible. And I'm going to work back and forth between the two casseroles to get a nice even amount of love on both of them. Work the sauce all the way to the edges. You don't want to leave those out. Love this recipe. This is so good. Your sweetie will be putty in your fingers after this. Last little bits of precious sauce. Scraping the bowl to make sure I get a pan to make sure I get it all in there. Take my spoon again. Kind of make sure I've got everything covered. If it's left uncovered, the pasta can get kind of stiff and not be as palatable. You want a nice, tender, delicious presentation for your sweetie with this one. And then finally, more cheese. I want to spread it across the whole top, again, taking it to the edges for the most beautiful presentation, the best flavor, and the most tender ziti ever. You're gonna love how this cheese browns up across the surface. And finally, just a couple more slices of onion, just kind of garnish it, decorate it up a bit. It's gonna cook into the cheese and be delicious. These guys are ready to go in the oven. Now I've got my oven set at 350 degrees, and these guys are going to need to bake for 45 minutes to an hour. That means you've got time to get cleaned up and take a nice little break. Well, break time's over. It's time to get the rest of dinner started here. So the first thing I'm going to do is start working on the sauteed green beans. Add a tablespoon of butter to my saute pan here. Get it all melty and delicious. Yum. Love the smell of warming butter. And then I'm going to add a couple cups of fresh green beans to that. We're just going to keep this recipe really simple and light. You know, the ziti is very complex and thick and heavy and delicious. So you're going to want a nice bright vegetable to go along with that. A little toss here, and allow it a couple moments to come up to temperature. Beautiful, nice little sizzle going. Now to this, I'm just gonna keep it real simple. Like I said, I'm gonna add a quarter of a red onion and a little bit of ham. It's a slice of regular old deli ham, Black Forest if you wanted to know. Just toss that in there. Give these a few minutes to cook together. You just wanna cook them till they're tender. That's going to be really delicious. And now it's time to go get the ziti out of the oven. The ziti is so hot that it's definitely fine to pull a little bit early. It's going to need several minutes to cool down, and oh my, that looks amazing. Give the beans a little bit more tossing here. The more you toss them, the more surfaces meet the pan, the faster and more evenly they cook. Those are going to need a few more minutes, which gives me enough time to whip up that delicious, fresh homemade Caesar salad. Now this is another candidate for keeping in the fridge. You're going to want a nice cold salad bowl. Nice cold egg. Everything should be cold. Nice cold salad. Now this here, folks, is the real deal. This is really how you make a fresh Caesar salad. Start with a clove of garlic, add a goodly amount of salt to that. Start using your spoon to break up the garlic. The first couple breaks are going to be the hardest. You see I'm reaching in there to stabilize the clove with my fingers. Once the salt starts to hit the garlic, it's going to start breaking down and allowing you to sort of mash it up into a nice little paste. This is the classic tableside technique that you would see at an old school fine dining restaurant. Smash that garlic up. Builds the foundation for this amazing salad. Really want to work it into a nice puree. It doesn't take very long at all. At this point, once it starts to break down, add some cracked pepper and a nice little dollop of Dijon mustard and a couple of anchovies. Smash all that goodness together. You're gonna love this. You're forming a very pungent paste at this point that's also going to help emulsify the egg and the oil together. It's going to create that classic, unbeatable Caesar salad flavor. Really want to work the anchovies in a little bit. It's all about making a nice paste. Oh, that looks great right there. Get that off the back of the spoon. Now, I'm going to crack an egg into it. Now, the quality of the egg is what makes the difference in the Caesar salad recipe. I favor eggs that are heavy in omegas, that are grain-fed. I find the flavor to be unbeatable. And plus, if you've got the omegas in the egg, you're going to be adding a little extra nutrition in there for your sweetie as well. Gently whip the egg. And right as you see the yolk and white almost joined together, that's when you want to start adding in your olive oil. This is an emulsion here, so you just want to kind of keep gently stirring it while drizzling in the olive oil. When you start to see the olive oil pooling up, pull back on it and give some more gentle stirring to the egg and the paste until you see it blending in there together. Yum! Love a good fresh crisp Caesar salad. A little bit more olive oil in there. I'm going to go ahead and add a few squeezes of lemon juice. I like to do that after I've started with the olive oil. Look at how that changes the color. The lemon juice brightens it all up and accentuates the flavors. About 3 squeezes of lemon seems to do the trick. I'm going to add just a touch more olive oil to this. All in all, you're going to use between 1 and 2 ounces. Look at that nice thick texture. That's perfect right there. I'm just going to give it a little taste to make sure the seasonings are right in it. Heavenly. So good. Now I'm going to add the salad. I have some nice chopped romaine salad, a nice generous amount. Because this one is so good, you're going to want to scrape the bowl. And toss that in together. And if you work the dressing from the bottom to the top, you get a nice even coating with a minimal effort. Maybe some spills over the side. Add it back in. And you want to toss it until you see that all the leaves of lettuce are coated with the goodness that is the Caesar salad dressing. Let's go back and check on those beans. It's coming along very nicely. Got a little browning on them. That tastes delicious. Almost there. Now I'm going to go ahead and plate the salads. Wow, I can smell the aroma. It's so pungent and delicious. It's going to be a really nice, refreshing complement to the baked ziti and the green beans. That technique's not working too well for me, so I'm just going to go for the pour here. Love a salad bowl heaping with lettuce. Add to the top of that a little bit of freshly grated Romano cheese. I definitely prefer Romano to Parmesan. It's more pungent, more flavorful. And then top with croutons. And these are ready to go. Check on these beans here. Yum! Wow, those smell really good. The browning onions are adding a nice layer of richness to the aroma. Now the final element that I'm going to add to this is actually going to be a little lemon juice. It's going to help add that clean, bright flavor. Almost there. Now let's start plating. So those will be ready when we're ready. Clear off a little space here. And then we're gonna need to put these beautiful zitis on the plates. Grab a little hot pad here so I can handle those. Loving that. And you know, since this is a pasta, really good idea to serve it with a little bread and butter, or if you like, you can make a little garlic toast. And then let's bring these in. Delicious. Your sweetie's gonna dig on this. And done. So what do you think? Do you think that's something that you could whip up for your next date night at home? I think you can. So serve this up with a Chianti or a Brut sparkling wine and call in your sweetie. And the apron is out.
Ooh, yummy dinner.
Yay! Yay! Dinner. Yumminess.
Yes. And here?
Thank you. Well, we have a real feast here tonight.
Looks delicious.
My own special cake on ziti.
This is such a hot kitchen.
So thanks for joining me in my hot kitchen tonight. Have fun turning up the heat in your kitchen. And I'll see you next week. Night-night. Pet the kitties.